functions in Python. So most of us will be writing our code in the form of a function. So already we were already used some built-in functions. We know that length is a built-in function, print is a built-in function, range is a built-in function, enumerate is a built-in function. So what is this function exactly? See, I'm using print, right? So this is actually one inbuilt function in Python. So what is the advantage here? See, there is a logic inside this print. Okay, there is a logic that has been written for this print function, and that logic is being performed whenever we write something here. Whenever we put some string or whatever the value that we want to print, we will use that. Okay, now in the same way, can we have our own functions? So first we have to understand what is function. So function is a basically it's a block of code and it will be executed whenever we call that code. Okay, so print is also basic, it's like a code, and we are using that, right? And we don't know what exactly they have written. We can see that for now. We just don't worry about all those things. Now let's think about what is function. Function is a block of code and we can reuse that function whenever we want. So whenever we want, we just need to call in the same way we are calling this print, right? Okay. So let's create one function. To create a function, you have to use define and you have to give the name of the function. Let's take my function. You can give any name and you have to use this parenthesis after the name, and you have to close, like, I mean, we need to have a colon after this parenthesis. This is a syntax and you should be careful about this indentation. These are the steps that you need to know. What is that? First you have to use a define keyword, diff keyword, and then you have to provide your name of the function and then parenthesis, then colon, then worry about this indentation and start writing the code. Let's print hello, how are you? Okay, this is something what I have printed. Now if I run my code, you can't see this print hello, how are you. Why I will say that? Let me first do run this. If I run this, I can see this hello, right? Now why I can't see this hello, how are you? Why? Because I'm not calling this function, that is my function. Okay, now I am calling this my function. The calling is, I think here you are not no need to use this if keyword or any other keyword. Just use the name of the function and then the parenthesis. That's it. So this is a simple way to call this. Now when I am calling hello, hello, how are you? Now let's see how this execution will start. So the basically execution will go in this way. Print hello will be printed first. Then it's not going directly getting into this diff or my function, whatever it is. It will be skipped. It will go to my function. So now my function, it will call this function. So it will search in this entire code, and wherever my function is there, it will go. And from there, it will start executing. This is how execution will happen. You understand this? Now what happens if I call this before creating a function? Okay, so let's remove this, and if I run this, I can't see the whatever the function. If I am calling in the first line, what will happen? If I'm calling this in the first line, we are not going to get any like my function, whatever the code that is present here. You will get a error, that is my function is not defined. Why? Because it's looking before that. Like whenever you are calling, you need to have a person, right? If you want to call LAVAKUMAR, LAVAKUMAR should be there. If LAVAKUMAR is not there, how can you call? In the same way, you have to have the function, then you have to call this function. Then only it will be called. If I run this, now it will get executed. That's it. So now let's see why we need to use these functions. Okay, and also you have to understand the difference between user defined and pre-built inbuilt functions. We have range, length, enumerate, zip. These are the some of the inbuilt functions. And user defined functions, you can give your name and you can write your own logic and you can use those functions whenever you want. This is something. And the advantages of using these functions is you can avoid this thing called dry is nothing but do not repeat yourself. Do not repeat yourself. Okay, so this is the one rule that a good program will practice. Why? Because he's not going to repeat his code. Basically, he will write functions like this and he is going to use this whenever he want. It's simply like a when I like for loop, right? For loop, when we know the range, we are not going to simply write that code again and again. You'll just simply use it for loop, and the same thing, if it is there, just use it in a one line, like for loop and printing something 10 times, right? In the same way, these functions also works. This is all about this video. If you want to learn more about these functions, this is all about a simple way to understand functions. We will discuss more about these functions in the future videos. If you have any doubts, please feel free to ask me, and if you have any suggestions to me, please post those in comment section, and please do subscribe, like, and share this video with your friends who are learning Python. That's all for today, and we will see you in the next video. Till then, take care. Tata. Bye bye.